Not alone at the studio this morning. Hi, Adebayo.
Yeah.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
I hope you slept well.
Yeah, fine.
Yes, this morning, as usual, we have a lot of interesting, educative, informative, and entertaining program segments actually on today's edition of the Saturday Morning Treat. And we will be starting with what?
Yeah. We are starting with sports.
Yes, the SMT sports.
Yeah.
Where Omotayo Adebodo will be telling us everything we need to know from the world of sport.
Yeah.
And thereafter,
we have newspaper segments.
Yes.
Running from 7:55 to 8 a.m.
Yes, and that segment will take a look. We'll look at the stories that made it to the front pages of some of the national dailies in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And the Governor's Week is next.
Yeah.
Before we go to the first guest platform.
Yeah.
What are we discussing today?
We are discussing food production and hunger.
Yes, food. The most important basic need of man. One of the most important, actually three.
Yes.
But food top the list.
Yes.
And Nigeria has been having some kind of crisis, food security issues.
Mm-hmm.
And today we will be taking a look at what actually brought about that, especially at this particular point in time when it's supposed to be it's rainy season.
Yes.
And we always have surplus at this time of the year. But
Yeah.
the reverse is the case. So we'll take a look at what happened,
Yes.
when did it happen, how did it happen,
How did it happen?
what are the solutions.
Yes.
So we have a guest in the house. He's an agriculturist. Who is he?
Alhaji Mustafa Olawi.
Yes. So just make sure that you are glued to your TV station this morning and on OSBC, because we get to know how we can actually reverse the trend and start witnessing surplus in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And our second topic is what?
Yeah, flood and continuous rain.
Yes, a lot of states and the federation, especially the cities there, have continually witnessed flooding these days. And Osho has been very lucky.
Yeah.
What really happened? What magic did Governor Adeboye Itola perform to have, kept
Stem the tide.
tide? Exactly. And our guest is the General Manager of Ocean Waste Management Agency,
Authority, yes.
Mr. Oyewole Oladosu.
Oladosu.
It's a loaded package for you this morning. And we also have our commercial segment from Lapu.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you sit down, relax, and enjoy everything we have for you on the Saturday morning treat today. Yes, we now invite Omotayo Adebodo for the SMT Sports.
Entangled blossoms in a meadow silky green, where she held me to her bosom, just a boy of 17. I recall a gypsy woman, silver spangles in her eyes, ivory skin against the moonlight, and the taste of life's sweet wine. Soft breezes blow from fragrant meadows, stir the darkness in my mind. Oh, gentle warm, you sleep beside me, little know who haunts my mind. Gypsy lady, I hear your laughter, and it dances in my head, while my tender wife and babies slumber softly in their bed. I recall a gypsy woman, silver spangles in her eyes, ivory skin against the moonlight, and the taste of life's sweet wine. As far as the first songs that I ever wrote, it was pretty much...
The penalty area as well, and it hits over to Masamuka. Look at there. Keeper goes on the adventurous route. Masamuka scores! Unbelievable! You've never seen anything like that in your life.
All'interno dell'area di rigore, vediamo sono tutti dentro l'area, parte Casati, Brignoli, non ci credo, Brignoli di testa è pareggiato per il Benevento, non ci credo, ha segnato il portiere del Benevento, Alberto Brignoli, colpo di testa e tutto il Vigorino è impazzito.
De vrije trap is voor Hansen. Ja! Hansen met de hak. Je verzint het niet.
Send it back to their keeper, Tim Howard. Another really long clearance, and Howard has scored. The ball got caught up in the wind, and the Bolton defence and the goalkeeper were caught napping. And Everton...
Urrita Vizcaya. Ahí está el conejo. ¡Gol! ¡No! ¡Gol!
Robertson will take. Awkward bounce! Goodness me, it's gone in! It's a goal from Paul Robinson! You hardly ever see a goalkeeper score.
Que veía detrás de Ricardo. Pelota nuevamente cobrada. La busca Buen Muñoz de cabeza.
Ahí está el balón dentro del área. ¡Marca Orca y la hizo! Ya tenemos el primer gol de un portero en la Liga.
And the first issue is the issue of flooding and the continuous rain. Kadi,
Yeah.
who is our guest?
Our guest is the general manager of Ocean Waste Management Agency, Alhaji Mustapha Olawi.
He's actually Mr. Oyewole Oladosu.
Oh,
Yeah, he's general manager.
Mr. Oyewole Oladosu.
You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Alhaji, you are welcome on the program. Yeah.
yeah, before we start taking on today's issue, we'll take a look at a report. Please don't stay, don't go away.
Of their taxes and other levies as when due. The commissioner explained that it is the only way to support and assist government.
NIMET had predicted that there would be heavy rainfall incidents of flooding in different states of the Federation, including some states in the southwest region. And true to the warning, many states, including Lagos, Ekiti, and those in the northern parts of the country, have been ravaged by floods occasioned by heavy downpour. Lives have been reported lost, some buildings submerged in the water, while some other collapsed. Osun State has not recorded major flooding incidents this year, and this has been attributed to the proactive steps taken by Governor Adegboyega Oyetola to dredge major river and waterways. Some residents of Osogbo who spoke in separate interviews with OSBC News, including Mr. Ebenezer Oninkoni and Mr. Babatunde Ezekiel, stated that it is very important for all residents to collectively cooperate with the government in protecting the environment by putting an end to indiscriminate dumping of refuse into drainages, rivers, and waterways. They also spoke on the need for those living in water-prone areas to evacuate before it's too late.
Very wrong for people to be dumping refuse on the road like this, even inside the drainage, which is very wrong, most especially in this particular season that we are. So I think government should take a active measure in order to curb, all these indecent habits.
I want our people to stop all those ideas of dumping refuse into the river. It's not the normal thing. Government is trying. We on our own side too, we're supposed to do what
human beings supposed to do, just to assist the government.
Speaking in the same vein, the General Manager of Osun Waste Management Agency, OMA, Mr. Oyewole Oladoso, enjoined residents in the state to always dispose their refuse properly so as to not allow flooding, saying that people will always get back what they put in the environment. He added that government will continue to implement environmental safety policies for the betterment of the people.
Flood control is not supposed to be during the rainy season. You have to start it as early as possible when the machine can have access to all the river banks and riverways where they can take away all this debris, and that is what the state government is doing. Right from the dry season, the state government is not stopping on its own, started dredging, desilting, taking expansion of all the waterways.
The OMA boss also warned those building houses in waterways to desist from such acts to avoid exposing their houses to avoidable dangers. Oluwa Tobiloba, Odunuga, reporting for OSBC News.
Thank you very much. That's Odunuga for that beautiful report there. Yes, you have actually said
Yes.
Set the ball rolling for today's discussion. Flood and continuous rain.
Yes.
What yes, few months ago, the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, predicted that there will be flooding in about 32 states. And a few weeks ago, we started experiencing that. Basically, a lot of cities in the capitals in Nigeria, experienced flooding. What actually happened?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, the moderator. Flooding, we should be expecting it because there is too much pressure on the existing land, and that makes people now encroach on the natural boundaries of rivers. Aside from that, there are some what we can refer to as pathogenic measures or factors that encourage that. Most especially the issue of dumping refuse. Most of those refuse you saw on riverways might not be directly dumped on riverways, but when it rains, definitely they will be carried away to the next channel, and from that channel to the major river. And at the end of the day, there's going to be blockage, especially the covers and the bridges. That is what really happened. Then it behoves on everybody that they should know that indiscriminate dumping of refuse is supposed to be something that is going to be people-oriented program. From community to community, we should try as much as, don't say it doesn't concern me. After all, I am sanitary enough to take care of my environment. What of others? And that is why an injury to one is an injury to all. That is the philosophy of when we are playing health. So it is important that at this point in time, every community should take it as a bold measure that waste management should be a key importance in their community level. That is number one. Number two, we should do away with building of any structure, whatever structure, on every waterways and water banks. The law has it that major rivers like Osun, we should leave at least between 50 to 150 meters to both sides of the river, so as to allow when we have a river incursion, there will be free way for the river to move. Ditto to channels, ditto to erosion prone area. And at this point in time, we want to appeal to those who engage in scooping sand. That's they should be very, very careful. If there is no environmental control, many of our hilly places, rocky places are being thrown down by this activity of this type of workers. And at the end of the day, when it rains, definitely water will not find its way to all this gully they have created. And the resultant effect is serious flooding. So it's not only on waste, it is because we see waste as a key element that we can see. Most of our waterways in those days when we were very young, communities, villagers, they devote time for clearing of weeds along riverways. And those activities are stopped because of we think we are civilized enough. No, there should be a dedicated time in each of the community where riverways has to be cleared. If it is cleared, definitely there will be free flow of water. That is one. Two, as community is growing, most of the area that are covered by vegetations are being removed. Definitely, the amount of water that is going into that particular channel before is going to be increased because there is no uptake of most of this water. So it now be over on everybody that they take it as a point that every human being, every human soul, we are a product of the environment. Whatever you put into the environment will take it back to you. So the issue of flooding is not new. If you go into the Bible, into the Quran, especially in Egypt, they use it as a resource. When it floods, the flood-prone area are used for Egyptian, for agriculture. And very, very good. In those days when we are very young, we also use all those areas, which we call Akuro, which the Hausa people call Fadama. Where are they today? We have bastardized the environment to a stage that it may not be sustainable for human living if care is not taken. Most especially the introduction of these technological materials, using of plastic, using of rubbers that are not likely to be decomposable. So at the end of the day, they take a longer period to decompose. And even when they decompose for 3, 4, 500, 6 years, they release certain chemicals into the environment that make the environment to be toxic. So it is very, very important at this stage to first of all educate ourselves on how do we manage ourselves. We have created the problem, we should be able to manage the problem. The first aspect is, please, if you are not in need of any materials, especially things that you don't need, when you buy new materials, please do away with it. The first aspect, reduce by refuse. What you don't need, why do you need to bring it home? When you bring it home, just to show that you buy new item, at the end of the day, you release it to the environment indiscriminately. Why don't you leave it at where the point of sale? The industrialists or the people there, they might use it to repack another item instead of bringing the cartons that you don't need. That is one. Number two, we should engage in using of more biodegradable materials, something that can decompose easily. In most of the developed countries these days, they have banned the use of plastic. So they are now engaging in the use of all these biodegradable material. That's another one. Number three, it is important that everybody should have a contractor that will be taking away their refuse to the approved dumping site. And the dumping site is not that it's going to be dumped there. We have scavengers, we have industrialists, we have primary uptaker that will take all this material which you might refer to as waste in your house. They will take it and turn it around to be used for another thing. That is when we are now saying the waste recycling. It's not that we are dumping it there just and leave it there. No. Some uptaker are taking it up as part of their primary element in production.
So we'll still go fully into this one, what the state is doing. You have questions?
Yes. Some states have been experiencing flooding according to the prediction of a meteorological agency. But Osun appears to be lucky not to have experienced such. What magic has been performed by the government through your agency?
Not my agency alone. Let's say the environment sector. That particular has to be addressed from the environment sector. In the sector, the Ministry of Environment, our agency, and so many other sister agencies within that sector, we work together. But the most important thing is the proactive measure taken by the present government in addressing flooding. Everybody knows that when it rains, there's going to be likelihood of having flood. Our zone has a lot of rivers. What Mr. Governor and his team did was during the dry season, they didn't stop dredging. They didn't stop openings of more expanse of land for easy flowing of water. And that is the only thing. When you have flooding and you are now rolling your machine, that is an afterthought. It's better for you to have plan and prepare. And that is what the state government has done and is doing. They have done that and they are still doing it. So it is very important that every community should lodge their complaint appropriately to their local government and to the Ministry of Environment, so that urgent action can be taken in case they see any traces of flooding or blockage of any river anywhere in the state.
All right, now let's look at the way people dump refuse. Even before the vehicle that comes to carry it away, they would, at the median, it's a common feature. Once you wake up in the morning, you move on the road, you see them, a heap of refuse. What actually led to this?
It is a way of introducing the management principle to our people. Years back, 15 years back or more than that, our people engage in dumping refuse, especially on the river way. In an effort to stop that, the then government now say, please, all your refuse, bring it out. That is the teething stage. We are at the winning stage now. The stage is advocating for every household to have their own refuse contractor, and they have to provide a refuse bin in front of their house. So government will now start enforcing, just like our mother, when they introduce milk, that is the teething stage. Then when you have the winning stage, they will now started introducing locally available food. In many occasions, withdrawing the breast milk, so that one will force the individual to take the locally available. At a stage, they will stop the breastfeeding. So that is what it is a process. It's not going to be an upfront issue. If you look at what happened yesterday, our enforcement officer, they were at Owode, they are at some other areas where they started enforcing all these principles, so that it is not going to be something that government will stop in a day. If you stop in a day, many people think, when you stop your action, so that if you stop, just leave it for 4 hours. Before you need, there may be outbreak of disease. And the same government that we have asked to stop the activity is going to be nice. We have never seen this type of illness before. Please do something. And by the time they are going to do something, it's going to be dual or even more, because they have to take care of the refuse, they attack the epidemic that has occurred, and so many other factors. And that's why government is continually doing it. But in every community, if you move around to Nigeria or any other places, you can see refuse vehicles moving in and down in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, depending on their customer. Why saying customer? We have some customers that you can only find access to their place in the evening. So you can see people going down, going along that line. If it is the afternoon, the same thing. If it is very early in the morning. But let us give kudos to the government that are even taking the bull by the horn by taking it. But it's not ideal for any person to indiscriminately dump refuse anywhere in the state. We don't have an assigned place for you to dump. But when we see it, we just have to take it. We had meeting with Yalojas and Babalojas throughout the state last week. The essence is to stop that particular. You see, the major heaps we find on the road is on our market product. How can you now be saying engaging in buying and selling with your profit, and now ask government to now be taking care of the resultant waste that have been generated? So every marketplace has been mandated to have their contractor, or paying. They have to pay. It's not going to be free. In the olden days, how do our mama and baba manage the market? Is market a new thing? It's not new. It has been in the system for long, and there's no way in Yoruba land then that you can find a marketplace dirty as it is today. because they have everything in motion. The geologist and his team, and our team, the biologist and his team, the market committee are there in those days. What now take all those committees off? It is because of what we refer to as civilization, which is seriously killing us. So it's better we go back to our cultural orientation, whereby we declare a particular place as where we are going to do our management. And we ensure that everybody partake in the management. If we are a contributor, we should be a partaker in the event management of the place.
Okay, you're laying more emphasis on the markets. What about household waste?
No, the same thing goes for houses.
Okay.
In those days, we have communities with each dump site. But because of the stress, because of the expansion, we can no longer have community with dump site. Even when they have community with dump site, they declare a day for the clearing of the dump site for its management. When we don't have borehole, we don't have well, we don't have river, we don't have tap water, they declare a day for the stream to take care of that particular water source, because they know that if they don't take care of it, it's going to create problem for them. What happens now? We have borehole, we have tap water, we have so many other sources. Are we really even taking care of where the sites of where the tap is dropping these days? It's as a result of all this civilization, crazy encouragement of our youth not to even work. That is it now. So when you wake up in the morning, it is very important for you to sweep. How many of our youth do that? We engage the service of a contractor, which may be 8 days. That means your sweeping is going to be 8 days. In those days, you are supposed to sweep every day. Even just little organic material which are majorly leaves there, you have to sweep, not pick. So that is the way we find ourselves, and we should go back to that. Who are the afeju there? Those are the ones that engage in cleanliness. Even they have it within the community to even award such an individual. Within that is a very decent house, maintaining both environmental and personal hygiene. What is the situation now? What take it back to where we have not gone? So it is very important that individual houses should have a refuse bin, a refuse contractor, and the community should take it as part of the major item of their agenda, that community sanitation is very, very important. An injury to one, don't forget I have said that, it's an injury to all. If someone is not careful, an epidemic starts from a particular place, and it's not going to be limited to where it is sourced. It is going to be exploded even to other communities. So the Community Development Association and Community Development, they should take it as a priority that sanitation is important for the survival of man.
Now, let's talk about the waterways and canals now.
Yes, sir.
Especially those ones constructed by the government. Some waterways, especially in Osogbo area, have been found out that you see, weeds have been growing in some of the canals, while some of the banks are caving in. If you look at the Gwami axis down to Obate,
yes,
that is where these things are happening. What is being doing in order to put in a kind of maintenance structure that will sustain this canal?
The Gwami axis, the one concreted.
Yes.
That is a federal government project.
Okay.
If you look, when they were doing the construction, the state government, let me say the state government are not fully involved. They are partially involved in the supervision. And if you look at the construction allows water that is coming from any other source other than the canal, not to have access to the canal. And that is what is creating the problem. At the end of the day, for water will find its way. And finding its way, it resulted into the caving you are saying. But in the management, the Ministry of Health, in the Department of Flooding, they are trying their efforts. They are written a series of letters, even to the federal government, intimating them about that condition. Don't forget, when you have a project, it's half a lifespan. Until the expiration of the lifespan, there may not be a very tangible effect they can do, only just to make amendment. And that is what the state government is doing. When you have a concrete channel, machine can no longer work there. It is the community that they should take it as part of their project and started desilting, removing sand from that particular channel to allow free flow of water. When they create a channel with concrete, there won't be any growth of weed on the banks where it has been concreted. But definitely there will be sand, and accumulation of sand will allow the growth of organic material, which is plants. So it be open on the community to now do the silting regularly, so that there won't be growth of plants inside the canal which has been constructed.
Before we move on, in that regard,
yes,
you know, when these canals were being constructed, those people were there, those communities were there, and they will have it at the back of their mind that it is government owned.
Exactly.
Now, what are you doing now to sensitize them to wake up to their responsibilities? Because they might not know.
Exactly.
It's not only canal. The federal government and the NGOs, especially the EU, the UNICEF, and some of the sponsoring them, they now said every project should be bottom up, not the other way around. First of all, seek the indulgence of the community where a particular project is going to be located. Is it the priority of the community? If it is the priority, definitely they will take it as their project. They are going to be involved. Contractor that is going to be used are going to be there. Workers that are going to work there, they are going to be a part and parcel of that particular project. And at the end of the day, there is going to be community handing over. They will hand over the project to the community for sustainability. That is what is on every project in Nigeria now. Because if not, if you said you just buy a chair, put it in a particular place, they might not even sit on that particular chair because it's not what they really need. First of all, itemize their priority. When they itemize their needs, they should be able to now say what is the cost on ground using the opportunity cost in economics. At the end of the day, pick the one that is most viable, their need. In those days, they built school. When they construct school for community, you don't find students in that particular school. Why? You know, say, no, we prefer going to Ayedade for our schooling than having 3 classrooms here, because it's not priority. But first of all, prioritize needs of the community to have a sustainable need for everything. So that is what government is doing. Now, on the existing canal, when you get down to Orioke Pure Water, the community there, they did a very marvelous job. Despite the fact that government intervention are there, at a particular time, they mobilized themselves to see that, though the canal is not yet being put in a concrete form, but they do the weeding. They remove all the debris to allow free flow. That is an idea we want every community to emulate. If you do that, it will bring up about a sustainable. Government cannot do it alone. Even we have an individual that even do construction of major bridges in communities. Aside from communities itself doing it, what are we doing on our way that are filled with potholes? It's just a matter of putting sand to fill all these things. If you fill up all the potholes, it will give access to the road being used by either the vehicle or the motorcycle. But gone are the day, we are not even interested in that. What of the little channels, the waterway that are within your environment? Are you even doing it? The law says, don't forget, the law said that all your waste, all your water waste, or any other waste should domicile within your premises. So that means even the water that is coming from my bedroom is not supposed to link that of the public. But because government say if they have provided the drainage, we are now using it indiscriminately. That is the essence. So everybody should take it as a point of duty that the environment must be sanitized and clean at every point in time to have access to free and good health. The Almighty gave us free health. You may not know the worth of your health until you are unable to breathe by yourself and you are on oxygen, or when you have a little pain on your hand due to probably you have get thawed or you have an injury. So that is it. It is free health. How to sustain it lies with us. If you want bad health, we are going to create it. Through what? Just mess up with your environment. It will give you the results we want.
Thank you very much. Now, another important issue that seems to be affecting the environment in this part of the world is the issue of open defecation.
Yes.
You still discover that there are a lot of households that do not have toilets in this modern age. What exactly is your agency doing to sensitize the people about this?
Thank you very much. Open defecation, it is a global issue. And that is why the WHO and other partners have now resorted into making it a program.
Okay.
And based on the program that they have coined out open defecation. Defecation is supposed to be something to be buried. An ethnic group in Nigeria, don't let me say the ethnic group, because they know the value of what we call fecal matter. You can never see them having toilet, but you can never see fecal matter all around. They do dig and bury, which to some extent is still acceptable, because the fecal that is a disease that is caused by fecal matter having contact to our food or any other item that may result into problem of cholera, typhoid and some other thing, says there should be limitation. Flies and fecal matter. When you have limitation to that, definitely you have done away with the indiscriminate defecation. Now, in relation to what you have just had, the Osun through the WESA, you have that program. They own the program, open defecation environment. Even any school now where they are on public health, it's due from the student to carry out a research on why and how to stop it. In the concept, you have what we call scaling in toilet. You can start from very small hole and started developing. At a point, you will now see that you can go to the highest level, that is scaling. We want to discourage that. Open defecation, you are saying, doesn't limit to human fecal alone, even animal feces. It's also in. So if you have your toilet, can you allow your animal to go there to defecate? No. It's a way of saying animals' boundary should be restricted to a particular place. If it is restricted, like we have in those days, when we had that you have started your animal in a particular place. So you are going to take care of the animal there, and at the end of the day, you take away the fecal matter, dump it somewhere where you can grow vegetable later. That means we have that science before. What is now affecting us that we are not using the science as it is? So open defecation is in Osun now. There is a law on it. If you open defecated, when many people use English to describe it, open defecation. Probably you see somebody open their bum openly without any shelter. No, that is not open defecation. Open defecation is saying that when you are not putting fecal matter in the appropriate place, it is an open defecation. Whether you defecate in your room, you throw it into outside, it is an open defecation. If you do it rightly, it's not going to be open defecation. The advocacy is one, animals boundaries will be restricted.
Okay.
That is why human fecal matter at any point will not be seen other than in the toilet. And when it is in the toilet, can you even see it? You can only perceive it. This is the toilet, probably because of the little odor that may be coming. That is what open defecation is advocating. Every community should have their toilet. Thank God, you see the water project in Elisha. If you heard the news yesterday, you see they have a lot of public toilets because we have so many people that they don't have homes. When they don't have home, when the Yoruba said, as beautiful as Oyinbo people are, they do defecate. So where would they defecate when they don't have houses? It's as a result of growth in population and people looking for economy, especially in cities. And that is why you should have a public toilet to be maintained. Okay. If you had the news, there are so many toilets being constructed here and there in the metropolis of Elisha. Okay. The essence is to ensure that those we think that they don't have access to living in a particular place can have it. Even we have travelers in marketplaces. If you go there to shop, you should be able to have access to toilet due to filling station, which is already in law and it is being enforced. Before a filling station to get approval, there should be a standby toilet with water facility, because toilet and water they move pari passu. Even if you are using pit toilet, if after you have defecated, the law says you should do hand washing, proper hand washing. With what? With water and soap. So every public places will have toilet, and that particular toilet is not going to be free, because if we are advocating for sustainability, we should not be looking at anything free. Even in free town, everything is not going to be free. So we should engage the service of people who can now do the maintenance. So that is why government may now initiate that idea, handed it over to a particular contractor and for its implementation. Even in Sabo Osogbo here, an individual constructed nothing less than 12 toilet facility with bath, and he's using it as a source of income. We provided water there so that people can now move in, take their bath, use the toilet, pay, and come out in Osogbo. So let's talk about other city or modern civilized world. So that means it is very important. Toilet is a daily routine material which you have to visit. We have so many people that they do visit it twice in a day, but it is important that everybody, it's like as if we are talking about death. In as much as you are taking in something, you have to defecate. So where do you defecate? It's either in your house, which is that have a toilet, or you go out to public places where they have toilet. In the absence of no toilet in your house, no toilet in the public places, they will engage in open defecation. That open defecation is not that the superstructure is not provided. They might do it inside their vehicle. People might not see them, but when they throw it, it becomes an open defecation environment. So it is a project, a baby project of even the state government. You can hear the news of the federal local government being declared the first open defecation free community in the southwest.
And the wife of the governor is also there.
Yes, the wife of the governor is an ambassador to such an issue. So everybody should take it. In Nigeria, they will now say they don't have money to construct toilets. They are able to put up 8 rooms. But what of the toilet? Toilet is number one thing which they needed to even construct before any other thing. And during our enlightenment program, we now say, okay, when you construct the foundation, you want to fill in the foundation to a particular level. Why don't you dig the pit? The resultant effect of the pit can now be used to fill the foundation. That means right from foundation, you have constructed the toilet. And in as much as you are putting up the superstructure, put up the superstructure on the pit and become your toilet. So it is very germane.
Okay. Ọ̀gbẹ́ni Oyèwọlé Ọládùṣù, ẹ kú wa tó tọ̀nà látara. Ẹ jẹ́ ká wò díẹ̀ ní èdè àbínibí. Ní nǹkan bí oṣù díẹ̀ sẹ́yìn, àjọ tó ń mójútó tó ń rí sí nípa ojú ọjọ́, wọ́n sọ pé ẹ̀kún omi ó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní àwọn ìpínlẹ̀ kan lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà. A sì ti ń rí báyìí. Ṣùgbọ́n ó dàbí ẹni pé àwa sì lọ́kì ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun kò tí ì ṣẹlẹ̀. Kí ni ọgbọ́n tẹ̀ ń dá sí?
Ọlọ́run ni ká sì tún yin ìjọba tí ìjọba gbé ìgbésẹ̀ tó yẹ kí wọ́n gbé. A rí i pé gbogbo ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun pátápátá ilẹ̀ omi ni. Odò sàn wá látèkìtì, ó sàn wá láti ibòmíì wá sọ́ṣun yàtọ̀ fún tí Ọ̀ṣun gan ní fúnra ẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n ìjọba a rí i pé ní bí ọdún bíi mélòó sẹ́yìn tán ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní gbẹ́ àwọn odò káàkiri, wọn ò dáwọ́ dúró. Kì í wá sígbà tí omi bá yalé la tó máa gbẹ́ ohun tó yẹ ká gbẹ́. A ti mọ̀ pé ìṣòro tíntìn nígbà tílẹ̀ bá ti mọ́ Ọlọ́run ní jẹ́ ká rí ìdààmú, a ti mọ̀ pé ilẹ̀ máa ṣú ni. So àtìgbà tá a bá ti jí láti gbúdọ̀ múra bó la fẹ́ sùn, irú kí la fẹ́ sùn lé lórí. Ohun tí ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ṣe nìyẹn, kò sí májì kankan. Àsìkò ẹ̀rùn ni wọ́n ti wo àwọn bí àwọn odò wo ni wàhálà máa ń dé bá, ni wọ́n ti gbé machine jáde tí wọ́n ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní gbẹ́ wọn tójú odò fi clear. Kì í ṣe pé wọ́n gbẹ́ nìkan, wọ́n tún sọ fáwọn community àti làá ẹ má jẹ́ káwọn ẹni bí ó tún bàjẹ́ o, torí àwọn kan wà tó ṣe pé tiwọn ìbàjẹ́ ni. So ìyẹn ló jẹ́ kí ó rọrùn nígbà tó jòdè. Wọn ò dáwọ́ dúró náà o nígbà tó jòdè láti rí i pé iṣẹ́ yẹn wọ́n ti ṣerin jìn. So àwọn odò ńláńlá yẹn ni wọ́n kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀. So àwọn odò kéékèèké ni wọ́n fi àdàgbà ètò sí létà. So kò jẹ́ kí ọrùn ó wọ odò ńláńlá. Ẹ má gbàgbé pé gbogbo àwọn ojútò kéékèèké orí nílá ni wọ́n ń lọ. Tẹ́ bá la kékeré tí ò bá sí ọ̀nà tí ó gbà rìn lójú ní á ti rí padà. Ìyẹn ló fi rọrùn fún ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun tí ò dẹ̀ jẹ́ ká rómi yálé. Ọlọ́run dẹ̀ ní jẹ́ ká rómi yálé ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. A dẹ̀ ní rí àjàkálẹ̀ àrùn. Ṣùgbọ́n wá ń fàsìkò rọ̀ wá o. Ẹ rí i pé mo sọ pé àwọn kan ń bàjẹ́. Ìbàjẹ́ ọ̀nà méjì ni. Àkọ́kọ́, àwọn tán ń dalẹ̀. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ò dalẹ̀ sójú àgbàrá o. Ṣùgbọ́n ibi tí wọ́n dà sí tó bá ti lè di pé odò dé ẹ̀kún omi dé, á rú lọ sójú odò ni o. Tẹ́ mọ̀ pé béèyàn bá dúró síbi tí ò dáa gan, odò ó gbé lọ àgbàrá ó gbé lọ sójú odò ńlá. Náà wọ́n sọ pé àgbàrá yẹn ló mú kì í ṣe pé ó lọ gbé nínú yàrá ẹ̀. Ọ̀tọ̀ ni pé ó lọ gbé nínú yàrá ẹ̀. Téèyàn bá dúró síbi tí ò yẹ kó dúró sí yóò gbé. Gbogbo àwọn ibi tí ó léwu táwọn èèyàn ń dalẹ̀ sí wọ̀nyí, gbogbo ohun tán dà yẹn àgbàrá ò gbé bí ìgbà tí àjìjà atẹ́gùn líle tó ń gbé nǹkan náà ni. So tó bá ti lè gbé odò ju odò, ló fi dàbí pé àwọn wò pé àwọn èèyàn ń dalẹ̀. Mi sọ pé àwọn èèyàn ò dalẹ̀ pátápátá náà síbẹ̀ o, ṣùgbọ́n àwọn tí ń dà á rí. Ẹni tí ń dà ládùúgbò wa tá a kẹ́sọ̀ sí lára, tá a jẹ́ kó mọ̀ pé tóun ṣe ò dáa, tá a pariwo rẹ̀. Òkè ló ti ń dá ìsàlẹ̀ ni wàhálà ti máa dé. Torí pé omi ò ní wá sókè, omi ò mọ̀ sàn lọ sàlẹ̀ ni. So gbogbo wa la gbúdọ̀ rí pé kinní yìí a gbúdọ̀ wò láwòye. Tẹ́mi ò bá dá, tẹ́yìn ò dá, tẹ́nìkan kan ò dá, bonilẹ̀ ó gbà lójú àgbàrá. Gbogbo ilẹ̀ tá à ń ṣe, tá a kó bó ṣe yẹ ká kó, tá a tọ́jú rẹ̀ síbi tó yẹ ká tọ́jú rẹ̀ sí, àríkójú àgbàrá ó máa ṣe gerege. Yàtọ̀ wá fún yẹn, ẹ má jà gbàgbé, kì í sọ̀rọ̀ pé èmi jẹ́ ìwọ jẹ́ nìkan. Àwọn tó ń kọjá lọ tó ń ṣe gbogbo rẹ̀, ìyẹn ni àwọn ìyá wa fi máa ń gbálẹ̀ láti jọ́. Wọ́n ní sọ ti gbá gbogbo abẹ́ ọdán, sọ ti gbá abẹ́ obì, sọ ti gbá abẹ́ ọsàn káàkiri. Kì í ṣe pé bóyá yàrá tó ń gbé nìkan tàbí wájú ilé nìkan. Wọ́n á gbá gbogbo àyíká láti lè rí i pé àwọn nǹkan tó lè dá wàhálà lẹ̀ ni wọ́n ti mójútó ládùúgbò. Ìyẹn náà ni ẹ jẹ́ ká padà sí. Ká tọ́jú ilé wa, ká tọ́jú gbogbo àyíká. Gọ́tà wájú ilé wa, ẹ má jẹ́ ká sọ pé tẹ́wá fi lè ń sọ pé ìjọba ló ní gọ́tà. Nígbà tágbàrá bá dé, ṣé yóò yálé ìjọba? So bàbá ti ń tọ́jú àyíká, ká rí pé inú gọ́tà wa omi wa ń sàn gerege bó ṣe yẹ kó sàn. Ẹni tá bá wá rí tó yẹ kó lọ̀rọ̀ sí, ẹ pariwo rẹ̀ síta. Ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan a ní ohun tí wọ́n ń pè ní technical committee lórí sanitation. Ọlọ́pàá wà ń bẹ̀, ìyálọ́jà wà ń bẹ̀, bàbá lọ́jà wà ń bẹ̀, baálẹ̀ tàbí ọba ìlú ó wà ń bẹ̀. àwọn wọléwọlé wọn kún bẹ́ẹ̀ bàbí àwọn ọlọ́pàá àwọn civil defence wọn wà ń bẹ ọlọ́kadà wà ń bẹ sáà wà ní rí ẹnìkan tá a lè wá sọ fún bàbá baálé lágbájá ń da ilẹ̀ sójú àgbàrá kí wọn gbégbèsè tán bá sọ níta àdúgbò tí ò bá gbọ́ wọn á fọwọ́ òfin tọ̀ torí tó bá ti dé káńsù ò ti dọ̀wọ́ òfin tán bá wá gbé sẹ́ni pé àwọn community wọn sọ pé wọ́n mọ̀ gbé bàbá lágbájá ń jọ sí yóò jẹ́ káwọn èèyàn sá ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tá a bá rí tá a kọ́ bí ara sí tó wá di pé ó di ọ̀ràn láwọn àmọ́ wọ́n ń dà á síbẹ̀ ta ló ń dà á síbẹ̀ sáǹjẹ̀nù ló ń dalẹ̀ síbẹ̀ so ẹ jẹ́ kí gbogbo wọ́n jí gìrì sójúṣe wa kárí pé ojúṣe tèmi tí yín ni ọ̀rọ̀ àyíká torí pé tá a bá fún àyíká làyíká náà ó fún wa ọ̀rọ̀ tá a bá fún ní tó dáa òun ló fún wa ní tí ó dáa tó bá sì tún jẹ́ pé ní tí ò dáa láti sí Ọlọ́run ní jẹ́ ká rí àìsàn àti bí àjàkálẹ̀ àìrùn.
tí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìgbà tí èèyàn bá jí láàárọ̀ tí ó bá ń rìn ní àgbòrò Òṣogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ máa rí àwọn ibì kankan láàrin títì táwọn èèyàn gbé ilẹ̀ sí ní gidi àti tó wá rí àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ pé tí ilẹ̀ wọn bá ti kún nínú ilé wọn á ti gbé sẹ́yìn ìbùtù wọn á lọ wábì kan tó máa dà sí kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ ṣé àwọn kọ̀ǹtráktọ̀ tí wọ́n ń kólẹ̀ ṣé wọn kì í wọ gbogbo àdúgbò ní tó fi jẹ́ pé títì làwọn èèyàn máa kọ́kọ́ ń kólẹ̀ sí.
Mo inú mi dùn pẹ̀lú bí ẹ ṣe sọ yẹn ó pẹ̀ka méjì àkọ́kọ́ ni pé àwọn kan ò fowó san wọ́n wá nǹkan ọ̀fẹ́ ẹ rí i pé bàtẹ́tò yẹn bẹ̀rẹ̀ ọ̀fẹ́ ni wọ́n fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ bí ìgbà tá a bá star bímọ tuntun tá à ń fún lọ́yàn ẹ rí i pé gbogbo jàpàrà ọmọ tuntun ò kọjá pé kókè kíyẹ ò fún lọ́yàn tíyẹ ò bá fún ariwo ó pọn ẹ fún lọ́yàn ó ní tíjọba fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ nísìnyí ìjọba ti wá ń ṣe níṣe pé láti bí ọdún bíi 5 sí 6 sẹ́yìn pé ọmọ yìí gbúdọ̀ mọ òdodo ọ̀rọ̀ o ò lè máa jọ yàn yín lọ o oúnjẹ táwa ń jẹ táyé omi sì ń jáde nínú ọyàn níwọ náà gbúdọ̀ máa jẹ o ní wọ́n fi ní pé káwọn kọ̀ǹtrátọ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ṣẹ́ ìjọba ò lè wà níbi gbogbo káàkiri tó ráwa gangan níjọba ẹnìkọ̀ọ̀kan wà níjọba náà fi wá ní pé àwọn apín gbogbo ìlú kọ̀ọ̀kan wọ́n pín ní ìsọ̀rí wọ́n pín fún àwọn tán jẹ́ agbaṣẹ́ṣe tí àwọn yan ilẹ̀ kíkó ní ààyò ẹ̀ka iye ilé kọ̀ọ̀kan o ẹ̀dẹ̀ máa bá wọn ṣe pàdé pẹ̀lú ìrànlọ́wọ́ àwọn ọ̀gá wọléwọlé àti community development officer táwọn ní council pé ó ti di dandan o kẹ́ni kọ̀ọ̀kan kó ní gòrò ìdálẹ̀ sí kó dẹ̀ rí pé lóṣooṣù ó ń sanwó fún àwọn tó yẹ kó sanwó fún láti máa bá wọn gbé ilẹ̀ sẹ́ẹ̀rẹ̀ mọ̀ pé téèyàn bá ti yàn ìjọ ètò jẹ́ free tipẹ́tipẹ́ àti dédé sọ di kínní ó máa ń dàbí pé ó máa ń yí bóbó díẹ̀ òun ló fà á process yẹn ò là ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ àwọn contractor tí in fact review tó wà review meeting wà báyìí tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n review bóyá a wò pé àwọn kan ò ṣe dáadáa tó bóyá wọ́n lé wọn tàbí kí wọ́n já wọn lẹ́gbàndì torí agbára wà fún ìjọba láti já wọn lẹ́gbàndì láti lè sá eré tó yẹ kí wọ́n sá kí wọ́n ká fi lè rí àṣeyọrí iṣẹ́ yìí a rí i pé kò sí ilé kan tí ó lóhùn yìí ló dọ̀tí pé ilé mi o èmi yìí ló dọ̀tí kò mú súùtì kò jẹ chingọ́ọ̀mù kò jẹ̀kọ kò jẹ̀bà tó bá wá ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ tán pátápátá yóò ṣe gá o so ẹ rí i pé kò sí ilé tí ò ní jẹ́ dọ̀tí báyìí dandan ni kí ilé kọ̀ọ̀kan kó lójúṣe tó máa ṣe fún àwọn kọ̀ǹtráktọ̀ tí ó bá wa kólẹ̀ bàtà tá à ń kọ́lé wa ṣèjọba ló ń bá wa ra búlọ́ọ̀kù ló bá wa ra rin káàtì láàrin yanrìn kó lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ torí pé bóyá lẹ́yìn abadubadu la mú ṣe ọ̀fẹ́ la mú pánù ọ̀fẹ́ la mú gi even tá a bá ní gi lóko sáà ní là tá a bá wà là á ní ó dáa torí pé mi mo ní gi o kápẹ́ńtà ní fún lówó bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ̀rọ̀ ilẹ̀ kíkó dandan ni kí gbogbo wa ó kárí pé a ní gòrò dálẹ̀ sí kọ̀ǹtráktọ̀ àdúgbò wa tá a bá mọ̀ ẹ lọ sí káńsù tàbí kẹ́ ẹ wá sórí iléeṣẹ́ wa immediately ni wọ́n sọ pé lágbájá báyìí ló wà ládùúgbò yín a dẹ̀ ń sọ fáwọn tán jẹ́ kọ̀ǹtráktọ̀ náà kárí pé wọ́n ń bá wọn ṣe enlargement ní community wọn so that ibi tó bá ti jẹ́ pé wọn ò bá agree a lè tètè mọ bí wọ́n ṣe lo owó òfin kó má fi di pé àjàkálẹ̀ àwọn máa ṣẹlẹ̀ ọlọ́ọ̀dẹ̀ ní jẹ́ ká rí nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ó jẹ́ àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tí à ń gbé lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ tá a sì tún ń gbé oró kọ̀ǹtínú ní kò ní ṣe pé bóyá ó ti stop.
àwọn tí ó wá jẹ́
àwọn tí tẹ́ bá wo àwọn tán a ní wọ́n ń dà sórí kìíní ní mú lókùtà bá máa mú àti pariwo tó in fact mo ti ẹ̀ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ iléeṣẹ́ OSBC yìí àti tẹlifíṣàn ni àti rédíò ni láàárọ̀ lọ́sàn-án lóru wọ́n ń pariwo ẹ má dalẹ̀ sójú àgbàrá ẹ má dalẹ̀ sórí títì wọ́n á kọ lórin wọ́n á ṣe níjó wọ́n á ṣe ní eré oníṣe ṣùgbọ́n ẹ má gbàgbé o ìgboro yàtọ̀ sí ti tẹ́lẹ̀ o ìlú ń tóbi sí ni o ẹ má dẹ̀ gbàgbé pé a ní pé n tá ń pè ní ẹ̀gbin tàbí ìdọ̀tí yìí àpadà wá lórí pé èrò ń pọ̀ sí ni tó bá jáwà méjì péré la wà nínú ilé n tá máa jẹ òní pọ̀ tá a bá ti ń di mọ́kànlá yóò ti máa lé kéńkà n tó fà á nìyẹn so tá a bá ti wá ń ríru bẹ́ẹ̀ òní ìjọba fi ní pé kọ́kọ́ máa jáde lójoojúmọ́ àti sátidé àti sànńdé kò sọ́jọ́ ọdún àtọ̀sán àtòru ẹ̀rọ àwọn ọkọ̀ wa tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ kó má fi di pé ìlú máa bàjẹ́ ni ṣùgbọ́n ẹni bá wá sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ di ọ̀dàlẹ̀ ìjọba náà kàn kóńdó tán sì ti ń kàn wọ́n kóńdó àtúnfàsìkò sọ fún wa pé káwọn èèyàn wa kó gbìyànjú kí wọ́n tẹ̀lé ní tíjọba ń fẹ́ kí ni ìjọba ń fẹ́ ẹni dòrò ọ̀dàlẹ̀ sí nílé yín ẹ bá kọ̀ǹtráktọ̀ tí ó mọ̀ bá yín kó ẹ bá jọ ní àdéhùn ẹ̀yin lẹ́mọ bí lẹ́yìn ṣe pọ̀ tó lẹ́yìn ìgbà yẹn ẹ san owó tó yẹ kẹ́ ẹ san fẹ́ nìyẹn torí kì í ṣọ̀fẹ́ o abáwọn ìyálọ́jà ṣèpàdé lọ́wọ́ bí ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì kí ni tá a sọ fún wọn ẹ̀yin ìyálọ́jà wa ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọjà wa ló jẹ́ pé ìdọ̀tí ibẹ̀ lékè ń kà nígbà téèyàn bá ṣòwò tán tó kó dọ̀tí ilẹ̀ fún ìjọba láti kó àwọn náà sọ pé kì í ṣàwọn ó da igi ẹ̀fọ́ tòmẹ́tò apẹ̀rẹ̀ kínní bó ló ti wá wọ́n gbà tí gbogbo wa bá wá jọ jẹ́ fìjìláńtẹ́ lórí tá a mọ̀ pé kò dáa táyì ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀ ẹ̀rí pa dínkù bó ni èyí sọ wájú ilé bàbá mi dà àkìtàn oríta ibi tí wọ́n mọ̀ kó lẹ̀ sí tèmi bá yarí tẹ̀yìn yarí ẹ̀dá kan bó ló kù títì wo ló kọjá tí ìṣèwájú ilé bàbá ẹnìkan ló gbà kọjá ìyẹn ní ètò tá à ń ṣe lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ tá a dẹ̀ rí pé pẹ̀lú ògo Ọlọ́run á ṣèṣò rẹ̀ dó kọ̀mẹ́ntì wa lè decide pé ibi báyìí la fẹ́ máa kó sí tí contractor ti máa wá bá wa kó sẹ́yìn pé tí wọ́n jọ agree ni bí contractor bá wá ṣe dáadáa ẹ jẹ́ ká tètè pariwo torí n tá à ń pè ní ìdọ̀tí kò yẹ kó pẹ́ ní ibi tá à ń kó o sí kó má fi dá wàhálà sílẹ̀ wàhálà tó lè dálẹ̀ pọ̀ sóòrùn la fẹ́ sọ ni àbẹ́kùté tí ó gbàgbẹ́ àbí áyán àbẹ́fọn tó ṣe pé gbogbo ẹ̀ pátápátá orí àlàáfíà ara wa ni ó tún wá padà sí Ọlọ́run ní jẹ́ ká rí àjàkálẹ̀ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun.
mo fẹ́ ká wò báyìí nígbà tí a wà ní tá à ń ṣe ètò yẹn ní èdè àtọ̀rìn wa ẹ sọ ní mo béèrè pé àwọn ojútò tíjọba gbẹ́ tí àgbàrá ń sàn kọjá pé àwọn koríko wọ́n ń dìbì kan àwọn ibì kan wà tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n ti ń wó lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́gbẹ́ ẹ sì sọ ní ọ̀rọ̀ yín pé àwọn aládùúgbò àwọn náà ní ojúṣe láti ṣe pàápàá jùlọ láti máa lè rí pé wọ́n ń kó àwọn ìdọ̀tí wọ̀nyí ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn ni ò mọ̀ ẹ lo àsìkò yìí láti fi là wọ́n lọ́yẹ̀.
mo fi àsìkò yìí mo fi rọ gbogbo àwọn àdúgbò bíi tí omi wà èmi náà sọ ọmọ kékeré èmi ṣe àgbàlagbà mi sì sọ ọmọ kékeré ká ní mo wà ní ìgbà táwa wà kéékèèké irú rẹ̀ ò lè ṣẹlẹ̀ torí pé gbogbo etí dò la fi ń dá àkùrọ̀ kí ni mo fẹ́ fà jáde ńbẹ̀ iṣẹ́ tó yẹ kí àdúgbò kọ̀ọ̀kan máa ṣe ni pé ojútò wa kò sí kókó ẹyọ kan ńbẹ̀ nígbà tí ò tí ì sí ojútò tíjọba gbẹ́ ẹ rí i pé èyí tíjọba gbẹ́ náà tó kan kéré rẹ̀ kò sí katakata tó lè wọnú rẹ̀ mọ́ lẹ́yìn pé kásímù ní ojúṣe wa dúkìá yìí dúkìá mi ni tá a bá jọ ń wò pé tó bá bàjẹ́ ẹrù ìjọba ni tó bá bàjẹ́ ẹ má gbàgbé pé yóò padà sí orí community wa dandan ni kó ṣe pé community kọ̀ọ̀kan ká ní tí wọ́n ń pè ní flood control managers ṣe bá yan fìjìláńtẹ́ n tá a bá fi yan fìjìláńtẹ́ kí ló dé tá a lè mọ ẹ̀yin ọ̀dọ́ wa ẹ̀yin tá à ń ṣe rally àbí kí náà máa ń ṣe káàkiri lọ́dọọdún odò yìí ẹja gbẹ tá a bá gbẹ n tó jáde nínú ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ n tó jáde tó wà nínú àwọn odò yẹn kó tó di pé kó débẹ̀ yanrìn ni ẹ báwọn kan kó yanrìn ta kí ló dé tá à ń tó ojúṣe wa bó ṣe yẹ ká ṣe so à ń fàṣìkò rọ àwọn bàbá wa àwọn ìyá wa gbogbo àwọn ojútò tíjọba gbẹ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká mójútó o torí pé tó bá dáa àjọ gbádùn ẹ̀ ni o tó bá tún kù díẹ̀ káàtó àwa náà là á jìyà rẹ olóòdò ní jẹ́ ká jìyà so n la fi ń rọ̀ wá gbogbo ojútò tíjọba gbẹ́ ẹ rí i pé àwọn èèyàn dalẹ̀ síbẹ̀ bàbá ẹ̀ fẹ́nubà pé àwọn èèyàn wa tán kọ́lé tán da òkúta tán da yanrìn sójú gọ́tà inú mi dùn community kan mi ní dáko ẹ̀ ní ọjọ́ Monday wọ́n ń bá ènìyàn jà bí ìgbà tí ó ṣe tí ó burú jù ni bó ṣe dalẹ̀ yẹn tán báyìí náà ni ó yá lọ wá àwọn ẹmúmi tó máa bá yín kó òjò ló wà lójú ọ̀run yìí tójò bá rọ̀ ńkọ́ ìfọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ tá a fẹ́ nìyẹn àmì ẹ fi ilé ẹ̀ sí bó fẹ́ kọ́lé ni tán bá dà síbẹ̀ tójò bá rọ̀ ẹ ti mọ̀ pé gbogbo ohun tí ń bọ̀ pátápátá ilé onílé ní ìyá sí so à ń rọ̀ wá kárí pé àmójútó àdúgbò wa kì í ṣe pé iṣu ìdọ̀tí ó parapọ̀ mọ́ ń ta lè pè ní ètò ààbò torí pé tá a bá ń lo nǹkan tó bá ti ń pọ̀ tó àwọn ẹni bí lè gbé nǹkan tí ò dáa síbẹ̀ ẹ rí i pé ìjọba gbé àwọn goro ìdalẹ̀ sí káàkiri ìlú nígbà kan tẹ́ bá rántí nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun pàápàá nílùú Òṣogbo ìgbà tó di pé tí ò tá à gbúdọ̀ sọ lórí atẹ́gùn tá à ń bá nínú rẹ̀ níjọba gbé kúrò ìyẹn fi hàn wá pé tá a bá níbi tá à ń dalẹ̀ sí ládùúgbò wa tá a bá ṣọ́ra Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ kí wọ́n dáràn sí wa lọ́rùn àbígbà téèyàn bá bòkú lórí ibi tá à ń dalẹ̀ sí ṣé gbogbo ará àdúgbò ti rógo sọ Ọlọ́run ràn wá lọ́wọ́ iṣẹ́ gbogbo wa ni o kì í ṣe iṣẹ́ ìjọba iṣẹ́ community gangan ni kí community ó dìde kájígìrì láti jọ́ community ló láàtàn wọ́n dẹ̀ mójútó community lómi omi èso tẹ́rẹ́tẹ́rẹ́ tó wà ládùúgbò wọn tí wọ́n ń tọ́jú àwọn náà sì lójútó so báyẹn náà lọ ń tá a fi ń tún ṣe nígbà yẹn tí ò fi sí àjàkálẹ̀ àrùn kò sí tó ní ká má tójútó wa ṣe ojútó tá à ń sọ yìí tìjọba nìyí tá à ń sọ ẹ kọ́kọ́ wá wo táwọn balùwẹ̀ wa àtẹnu ọ̀nà kitchen wa ǹjẹ́ à ń ṣe tó yẹ ká ṣe lé lórí tá a bá ti lè ṣe yẹn tá a rí pé ìyẹn ní ìtì títọ̀dọ̀ mi ní ìtì tí ẹlòmíì náà ni tí tó fi wá lójú tìjọba a rí pé kò ní sí wàhálà lórí tìjọba yẹn lọ títí but tèmi bá kọ̀ tí mi ò bá tún tàdúgbò mi ṣe tó bá pẹ́ tójò bá ń rọ̀ agbára òjò ó lè flush gbogbo ẹ̀gbin tèmi ń ṣe kó gbé lọ sínú tìjọba tó bá wá jẹ́ pé ó ń gbé gbogbo ẹ̀ káàkiri báyẹn ẹ rí pé tìjọba yẹn kò ní nítumọ̀ rárá at the end of the day tó bá wá mẹ́pa tó sẹ́mi tí ò ráyè lọ tó sẹ́mi padà sẹ́yìn á wá ní ìjọba ní o ṣèjọba nìyẹn àbáwá fúnra wa ẹ má jà fà àfọ́fà yẹn làwọn ò fẹ́ tá a fẹ́ káwọn èèyàn sá fún kólúkálùkù sojú sí ẹ̀ ntọ́lọ́run bá wá gbé wá gẹ́gẹ́ bí kádàrá a mọ̀ pé àmúwọ́ Ọlọ́run ni ṣùgbọ́n ẹ má jẹ́ ká dá ẹ má jà dá ntí agbára wa ò ní ká torí ọba tó dá wa sáyé ó ṣe gbogbo nǹkan létòlétò ètò yẹn làwọn ò sí alágbára ń yalé ọ̀gá wa kan máa sọ wá ní àgbàrá ò yalé ilé ló ya àgbàrá torí pé ó ní iye tí ìjọba fi lẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí òfin tá a gbúdọ̀ fi jìnnà sódò tá a gbúdọ̀ fi jìnnà sójútò ọ̀tọ̀ ní odò nìyí tó ń sàn dáadáa but àwọn ibi tó mi ń gbà kọjá nígbà tó ṣe pé tẹ́rùn bá dé a lè má rò mí ń bẹ̀ ibẹ̀ yẹn là ń pè lójútò ó ní tí òfin sọ ṣùgbọ́n torí pé gbogbo wa a fẹ́ ṣàgbé lójú kan náà gbogbo àwọn yẹn là ń wò pé ọgbọ́n orí wa gbé láti manipulate láti ṣe àyípadà ètò tọ́lọ́run ṣe kalẹ̀ ìdí nìyẹn tá a fi ń fọ́ òkè ẹ rí i pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ibi tán ti fọ́ òkè lénìí ó padà dojú omi gbogbo ibi tá a ti ń wa yanrìn funfun yanrìn pupa yanrìn dúdú yanrìn ṣaka yanrìn múlọ gbogbo ẹ padà dodo Ọlọ́run tó ṣe gbogbo ètò yẹn kalẹ̀ ṣáwa sọ pé Ọlọ́run ò gbọ́n ni Ọlọ́run gbọ́n ṣùgbọ́n ẹ má jẹ́ ká fi àkókò yìí ká má fi tako ntọ́lọ́run ti ṣe kalẹ̀ létò rere fún wa Ọlọ́run gbàdúrà wa so ẹ jẹ́ ká mójútó iṣẹ́ tèmi ti ẹni láti lè rí i pé àlàáfíà wà nípìnlẹ̀ àlàáfíà ò sì lè wá láì bá ṣe pé àwa fúnra wa ajígìrì.
ẹ ṣe gan-an kí a tó lọ ẹ ti sọ̀rọ̀ nípa àwọn ìjàmbá tí ó jẹ́ àfọwọ́fà láwọn fi ń dé bá àyíká ẹ jẹ́ ká wá wo ó ní nǹkan táwọn olóyìnbó ń pè ní waste to wealth pé bí gbogbo àwọn ìdọ̀tí tí ìjọba ń kó sórí àtàn ó ní bí àwọn advanced countries wọ́n fi máa ń ṣe tí ó máa fi jẹ́ pé wọ́n máa tún rí àwọn nǹkan tuntun mú nínú ìdọ̀tí ṣé ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ṣé wọ́n ní irú ètò bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
ẹni pé tí ò bá sí irú ètò bẹ́ẹ̀ nǹkan ó bàjẹ́ ẹ wo iye ike tí iléeṣẹ́ yìí ike omi tá à ń mu lójúmọ́ tá a bá wá ní ike yẹn o a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní kó sí inú ilé kan nígbà tí ó bá fi tó ọdún kan Ọlọ́run ló mọ iye ilé tá a máa kọ́ fún ìdí nìyẹn a sì ti rí pé ilé kọ̀ọ̀kan ò lè ní n tá à ń pè ní waste to wet but a lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ waste to wet láti inú ilé kọ̀ọ̀kan ẹni báwo ni a ti mọ̀ pé ike ọ̀rá àwọn yẹn wọn ò lè jẹ́ra tán bá máa jẹ́ra yóò jẹ́ 100 ọdún tó pọ̀ ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀làjú ló mú wá o ike ìsara igbá làwa ń lò tẹ́lẹ̀ igbá ewé tó dẹ̀ gbígbá bá fọ́ yóò jẹrà sínú ilẹ̀ ni bí ewé bá bọ́lẹ̀ bí ewúrẹ́ ò bá jẹ́ yóò jẹrà sínú ilẹ̀ ni tí ó dẹ̀ tún sílẹ̀ láǹfààní ṣùgbọ́n àwọn nǹkan táwọn tí ọ̀làjú mú wá wọ̀nyí tán bá tiẹ̀ fà máa jẹrà á pẹ́ tó bá tún wá jẹrà tán wọ́n tún dá wàhálà ẹlẹ́ sínú ilẹ̀ ìyẹn ń tí ìmọ̀ ọ̀làjú tó mú wá ìmọ̀ ọ̀làjú náà ló máa parí ẹ̀ tá a bá wo ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ara kẹyẹn wọ́n kọ recyclable ìtumọ̀ tí wọ́n sọ ni pé tẹ́ ẹ bá ti lò tán o ẹ fi síbi tí wọ́n tún ti dá padà sí ilé iṣẹ́ tí wọ́n tún fi ní àǹfààní àti lò ó tí wọ́n ń pè ní recyclable nìyẹn so tá a bá kó gbogbo ẹ̀ dé dump site níbi tá à ń dalẹ̀ sí àwọn tán nídìí irin wọ́n á mú bí irin abẹ́rẹ́ bó ṣe kéré mọ́ yẹn wọ́n á mú àwọn tán nídìí ìdérí ọtí wọ́n á mú àwọn tán nídìí ike wọ́n á mú tá a bá sa gbogbo ẹ̀jọba yẹn tó bá ti wá tó ohun tó kún mọ́tò wọ́n ń kó lọ sí àwọn iléeṣẹ́ tí wọ́n ti ń lò wọ́n kíkan ṣe pé ìjọba kan ń kó wọ́n dà sí orí àtàná gbàgbé wọn síbẹ̀ rárá o ohun tí wọ́n ń pè ní waste to wet nìyẹn nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun àti ní àwọn tí wọ́n ní iléeṣẹ́ yẹn kéékèèké kọ́lọ́wọ́n bá wa gbé wọn lórí sókè kí wọ́n di iléeṣẹ́ tí ó gbọ́rọ̀ gẹ̀jígẹ̀ kò ní nídìí pé bóyá gbogbo iṣẹ́ tán bá ṣe ní bíbáyìí wọ́n á kàn ṣe wọ́n á yí padà kó lè ṣe é gbé lọ tí wọ́n á máa gbé lọ sí Èkó gbé lọ sóògùn gbé lọ sí àwọn ìlú mi àwọn náà ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣe àwọn irinṣẹ́ kéékèèké tí wọ́n lè máa lo ìlú ẹ̀ but ìjọba kọ́ ló ní o tí ìjọba kàn ń ṣe ni pé ìrànlọ́wọ́ láti lè rí páwọn náà dúró lórí ẹsẹ̀ wọn ẹ rí pé táwọn iléeṣẹ́ ìbá wà nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun oore tó máa ṣe fún wa ni pé àkọ́kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa máa ṣiṣẹ́ ń bẹ̀ bóyá ìdílé kan ìdílé méjì tán bá mú mọ́ra tán dìjọ́ ń ṣiṣẹ́ èrè ló máa jẹ́ ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì tá a bá ti rí pé ike yìí ó bọ́lẹ̀ wọ́n ń lò ní olúkálùkù wà ní ju kéélẹ̀ mọ́ pé a máa tọ́jú rẹ̀ débi pé tó bá ti tó níta lè fi gba tọrọ kọ́bọ̀ a máa fi gbà yàtọ̀ fún yẹn èyí tán ti jù káàkiri àwọn kan ní ó máa ń sá ẹni tí ń sá oúnjẹ ló ń wá o kì í ṣe pé bóyá ó dọ̀tí o ayẹyẹ ó ságolo dé Àbújá ó ságolo dé Pọ́tà téèyàn bá ságolo dé ọjọ́ ọba lóṣogbo ń sìn ó ti dolówó because ọba ó níye tí wọ́n ń sá pàkéjì ni so ó mọ̀ pé tá a bá kó gbogbo agolo tán kó gbogbo ké aṣọ àlòkù wọ́n ń lò bàtà àlòkù wọ́n ń lò tá a bá ti kó gbogbo àwọn yẹn kúrò nínú àwọn pàǹtí tó wà nínú ilé wa kí ló kù òkè ewé yẹn oníjọba wa gba ẹnìkan tó ṣẹ̀fẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ nǹkan pè ní organic fertilizer ẹ rí i pé by the time tán bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ organic fertilizer chemical fertilizer wọn ó sì tún dangerous ó tún burú fún àgọ́ ara wa so tó organic fertilizer bá wà sáwà sọ pé àríwé àrílẹ̀ ìgbẹ́ ẹdìyẹ sawdust ìgbẹ́ màálù ìgbẹ́ àwọn nǹkan ọ̀sìn wa gbogbo tán kó gbẹ papọ̀ tán lọ́kúnná tán bá wa gbé sínú báàgì tá a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ìlú gẹ́gẹ́ bí fertilizer bóyá a fẹ́ gbin nǹkan kékeré ní àyíká wa bóyá báàgì kan bóyá méjì ni tá a dà síbẹ̀ tó dẹ̀ yè sínú ọ̀ ní dùn so àwa rí i pé a ní nídìí ilẹ̀ rẹpẹtẹ bí odidi ìlú kálá fẹ́ fi máa kó ilẹ̀ torí ètò tíjọba ń ṣe nìyẹn Ọlọ́run ràn wá lọ́wọ́ kí àwọn ẹnìkọ̀ọ̀kan náà kan gbìyànjú kán ràn wá lọ́wọ́ láti lè rí i pé àkọ́kọ́ bá a ṣe ń kó ṣe pàǹtí wa à ń pín wọn sí ìpele ibi tọ́ra wà ibi tí ké wà ibi tí gò wà torí wọ́n ń lo ìgò náà ibi tí irin wà tá a bá ti lè ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn àwa gan àwọn tán lu irin gbagbagba káàkiri àdúgbò tẹ́ bá gbé fún wọn wọ́n rà á so tẹ́ bá tó bá ti lè di pé a fi ẹ̀kọ́ yẹn kó ara wa dé irú ibẹ̀ yẹn a rí i pé wàhálà tó wà ń gbòòrò á dínkù Ọlọ́run ràn wá lọ́wọ́.
Mr. Oyewole Oladusu, General Manager, Osun Waste Management Agency. Thank you very much for coming on the program today.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, he has really done justice, great justice to the topic of flooding and continuous rain. Yes, I'm sure viewers must have learned one or two things from everything we have discussed here this morning. I want to say a very big thank you for making it to the program this morning. Yes, we will take a short break now. Saturday morning treat continues. Please stay tuned.
I've held it on and worked. Lord knows I've tried. It's an awful awakening in a country boy's life to look in the mirror in total surprise at the hair on your shoulders and the age in your eyes. Amanda, light of my life, fate should have made you a gentleman's wife. Amanda, light of my life, fate should have made you a gentleman's wife. There's a measure people don't understand the pleasures of life in a hillbilly band. I got my first guitar when I was 14. Now I'm over 30 and still wearing jeans. Amanda, light of my life, fate should have made you a gentleman's wife. Amanda, light of my life, fate should have made you a gentleman's wife. Never know how much I love you, never know how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight, fever in the morning, fever all through the night. Sun lights up the daytime, moon lights up the night. I light up when you call my name, because I know you're gonna treat me right. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight, fever in the morning, fever on through the night. Everybody's got the fever, that is something you
you all know fever isn't such a new thing. Fever started long ago. Romeo loved Juliet. Juliet, she felt the same. When he put his arms around her, he said, Julie, baby, you're my thing. You give us fever when we kiss it, fever with the flaming youth. Fever, I'm on fire. Fever, yeah, I burn forsooth. Captain Smith and Pocahontas had a very mad affair. When her daddy tried to kill him, she said, Daddy, oh, don't do that. He gives me fever with his kisses, fever when he holds me tight. Fever, I'm his missus. Daddy, won't you treat him right? Now you've listened to my story, and here's the point that I have made. Chicks were born to give you fever, be it Fahrenheit or centigrade, they give you fever. When you kiss them, fever if you live your life. Fever till you sizzle, oh, what a lovely way to burn. Oh, what a lovely way to burn. What a lovely way to burn. Oh, what a lovely way to burn.
So here we stand in our secret place, where the sound of the crowd is so far away. You take my hand, and it feels like home. We both understand it's where we belong. So how do I say goodbye? We both have our dreams, we both wanna fly. So let's take tonight to carry us through the lonely times. I'll always look back.
On 22nd of March, that's every year. It's an annual event, like I said earlier. And the theme for this month, the theme for this year is centered on groundwater. So we are going to be looking at the issue of water. And like we know, Nigeria has a problem, or we have a problem with inaccess. That's a safe water. We don't have access. We have inadequate access to safe water, just like most developing countries. So on the program this morning, we are going to be talking about the issue of access to safe water. Why do we have scarcity of water in Nigeria? And we are also going to be looking at some of the health challenges that result from this. And our guest on the program this morning is one of us. He has always been with us on the program, and he's none other than Dr. Andrew Ojebo. Doctor, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Yes, you're welcome.
Dr. Ojebo is from the Department of Public Health and Community Medicine, University of Benin Teaching Hospital. But before we go on, we are going to take the Lapo message. Please stay with us. Welcome back from Lapo Message. All right, Doctor, let's go straight to our discussion. When we say potable water, what do we actually mean by that?
Okay, so potable water, as we use it technically, means that water is free from impurities. There are certain impurities that can contaminate water, whether physical particulate matter or chemicals. Usually there are some chemicals that are present in water, but there is a limit to which they can be present, at the end which it becomes, abnormal. So it has to be free from impurities. It also has to be free from pathogenic organisms. By that I mean organisms that cause disease in man, like viruses, bacteria, protozoans, and the others. Okay, if they are present in water, they can cause disease, and that's why we usually check when it comes to quality check for water purity. The E. coli or coliform test is done, because if we detect that coliform is present to a certain amount, in fact, as a matter of fact, in developed climes, no coliform should be present per 100 ml of water. But because of our developing nature, 1 to 2 coliforms per 100 ml may be allowed. 3 to 10, just suspicious. And of course, if it's above 10, then we say that water is unfit. So it has to be free from such organisms. It has to be, aesthetically appealing as well. That water you're saying, for you to drink it, it has to be clear. It should not be turbid. Okay, it should be odorless. That is, it has no smell. It should be tasteless when you drink it. Okay, so these are the characteristics. In addition to the fact that it should be safe and it should be socially acceptable. So all of these will make water potable. Yes.
Okay, what is the theme for the World Water Day, and what does it connote?
Yeah, so just as you said earlier, the theme for this year's Water Day is groundwater, making the invisible visible. That means that groundwater is an invisible natural resource because it is below the Earth's surface, so it is not easily accessible to everybody. Okay? Not to also forget that water itself, the Earth is made up of 70% of water. And of this 70%, 97% is salt water. So that aspect is not even accessible, or it cannot be utilized by living organisms. The 3% is what living organisms can use, both animal and plant life. These 3%, only 1/3 is fresh water, is groundwater. So groundwater is a very high, important component of fresh water. And we are saying that this vital, hidden resource, how can it be more accessible? How can it be more utilizable? Okay, in fact, the central message of this year's theme is such that exploring, protecting, and sustainably using water. How can water be useful for our development, for our survival, even in response to climate change? And how can water meet the growing needs of a growing population that we are? So that's the theme for the year.
Do we have a problem with access to potable water in Nigeria?
Very clear, yes. Nigeria, among other poor nations, poor resource nations or developing nations, we have a big problem with water access. Okay, even if the water is available, it is not fit for human consumption. Okay, and so there's a big problem. If you go to rural communities, where a lot of them do not even have water available, except that they go to the streams or rivers where a lot of contamination takes place, bathing, washing, defecation practices are going on, and they still go there and drink this water or make use of it for domestic purposes. That is grossly unacceptable. Okay, even in urban communities, especially in slums, okay, you find that water is really not available. In fact, globally, over 2 billion people do not have access to potable water. So Nigeria shares a huge chunk of that proportion. Okay, so a lot of people do not have access to water, and that is one big problem, because water as an index for development shows how much your country has developed. And for Nigeria as a developing country, it is still a big problem. And I just hope that we can surmount that problem in no distant time.
So why do we have a scarcity of water in Nigeria?
The problems can be multifaceted, culturally, physically, you know. Let me begin from climate change. Of course, climate change has become a topical issue. So it's affecting water availability nowadays. Okay, so resulting to water stress, where everybody cannot afford to have access to water, both for domestic, industrial, or agricultural purposes. Government itself has not done enough as part of its social responsibility to provide water. Water as a vital component for human existence and development. Government has not done enough. If you look around, there's supposed to be municipal water parastatals like the water board. Those days, many years ago, they used to be functional. Today, they are defunct. They are as good as non-existent. So that is a major issue because most communities cannot have access to clean water. And those who can even afford to sink wells in their premises, okay, do that at very high cost. It is capital intensive, and not every average Nigerian can afford that. And so it's a problem. You can also see that even industries that produce waste, toxic waste, some of them discharge these effluents, this waste into river bodies, and they go a long way to contaminate this water and make them more of it. Ideally, any company or industry that produces waste should subject those effluent to, purification processes, so that before you discharge that final effluent, it is as good as clean before you discharge into water body. But some people still go about, sharp practices, and they discharge all kinds of unwholesome products into water bodies. Open defecation is a problem, and so there's a whole lot of why there is still water scarcity, especially when individuals cannot afford to even sink borrows. And those who don't have borrows have to go a long distance. Ideally, you shouldn't go beyond, you shouldn't trek for more than 5 minutes to access water. So if you are doing that or trekking more than 15 meters to access water, it is a big problem.
Okay, let's take a break here while we bring you the faces of LAPO segments. Please stay with us.
My name is Ruben Iwrede. I dey for PTI Road, 107, PTI Road. I deal with Labna for about 5 years now, or about 5 years now. I think I don't achieve small thing or big thing from Lapo. Before I enter Lapo, to get small money to run this business, they had me well. But one of my friends told me go Lapo. So we go there, they start with 200,000 naira without paying any money, but 2 guarantor. Rather, money just begin to help me since I started this work. So, because once a year, and when I pay, I finish, they will give me another one. So it helped me for my business. You see, and I say, if you look my business now, if you look around, you will see my business. Now my business don't grow. You want to see for yes, a small one. But for yes, a small thing. Part of you came out a small thing, they see for yes. This year, like, just give me money. As I give me the money, I take up at a market, buy goods for my store. If I carry you go where my wood today now, you go to the same market today. So now benefit I get from that. People they say like, but you no good. Now lie you talk. When you borrow money, take a go market, go buy something. No borrow money, take a go hire motor or buy motor or anything. Take a buy what you they say. At the end of the day, you go to say lapo money not be wire money. Not be money what they say juju money say the bad lie. No money they vanish. That money go, if you invest that well, you will get the gain. That's what the matter be that. Market when I start with 200,000 naira now, what did they give me so? Look the store 1 year now. Look that side where we will get so. But you go warehouse, you go see what there for warehouse. You will say yes. Lapo just see airport for this business. But when they give out money, we will go find money again. What we do, we just go market, buy the people inside, so we begin to sell. So I don't gain a lot from Lapo. I just love the matter. This PTI Road branch, PTI 1 for years so. That's my office. 5 years now, we operate together. with the quarrel, with the laugh, with the doing it together. So it's a very good thing that if you take money from Lapo, don't take a go pay while your wife died, you take a go market, go buy something for your store. At the end of the day, you go say you're going to pay the money. As you are paying the money small, you get small gain when you go to get for inside. Savings. When the year end, when you want, they go do what? They give it to you. So Lapo is not a bad investment, a very good investment. If you try them, as I tell you so, take the money, go what you they sell, buy them for your store. You go see the gain when they inside. As I judge this Lapo so, at least I get my own kitchen when I just stay now. This is a worry. I get my own kitchen when I just stay. When they help me well now from this Lapo because I don't find money again to go buy market. Now for that I get my own kitchen when I just stay for this worry now. I think that one is enough. That one is enough. That is the biggest thing because as you say, if you don't get your kitchen, you don't get wahala again. Landlord pass go there another day. This one this year we build that. This one is this year we build that. As we take my money back, where for we get money to buy market and from Lapo. That one we don't build them again. So at least, brother, I don't gain something. When I go Peter say, do I tell you say, apart from joking matter, Lapo don't help me. My prayer be say, make the help what I for where need help. So they can be able to do what? Testify themselves, say yes, Lapo, because many people say Lapo money, you take just now, it just be like which money. I don't see any which money for inside though. 5 years on the side, so I don't see any which money for inside. Because I take the money, can I go market and they get gain. So I'm happy. So Lapo is source of my progress. That is what I'm going to tell you from my progress. No doubt about it.
Welcome back from Faces of Lapo. For those entrepreneurs who want to do business with Lapo Microfinance Bank, simply call the numbers on the screen to get connected with a client support staff. Okay, Doctor, let's look at the social and health consequences or challenges of inadequate access to potable water.
Yes, thank you for that question. There are a myriad of health implications or social implications that may arise, or even economic implications, but I will just dwell on what you asked. Health implications when you have water shortage, or when you have water that's not fit for human drinking. Let me just say that ideally, we say that one individual should use or have access to 20 to 40 liters of water per day. Okay, so per head. So when that is not available, it causes a lot of issues health-wise. And our approach is in this way. For example, we have what we call waterborne diseases. Okay, it means that certain pathogens are present in water. For example, somebody may contract typhoid, or paratyphoid, hepatitis A, and dysentery, diarrhea diseases, and that is killing a lot of our children because over 4 million infants under 5s, come down with die from diarrhea diseases yearly, and that is a huge burden on in the world globally. Okay, cholera is also another implication because there was this man John Snow. He was a foremost epidemiologist. Sometime in London in the 80s, in the 1854, when the city of London had the cholera outbreak, he was able to demonstrate that this outbreak was due to a nearby source, a pump that had been contaminated with cholera, even long before we finally knew that cholera was caused by an agent, an effective agent. So he was able to demonstrate that, this epidemic, cholera, is because of the water supplies. So check the water supplies. So that's important. There's also what we call water arthropod diseases. That means that where there are waters that are stagnant or river bodies that are not well managed, certain insects can grow and breed, like malaria vectors, mosquitoes, yellow fever mosquitoes, trypanosomiasis, onchocerciasis. There are also some that because of shortage, okay, like scabies, skin diseases, when you're not breathing well, the water is short in supply, and so hygiene is poor, and so people come down with scabies and other dermatological skin diseases. Okay, there are water chemical diseases where if fluorine, for example, if it is not adequate in water, can cause dental caries. That is the teeth begin to decay. Or even when it's in excess, it can also cause, some also adverse effects. So there are a whole lot of health implications that can arise when water is not available in adequate quantity, and even if it's available, how safe is it for human consumption? I let me also say that, of course, you cannot promise hygiene when there is no water. People tend to manage water, and then, it can cause epidemics and cause a lot of issues. Socially, of course, people will not come close to you if you are unkempt, if you are not tidy. It causes a lot of mental stress, People just get so easily irritable, and that can dovetail into economic consequences as well. So water is very vital, and its adequacy is key also.
Right. Our discussion will not be complete if we don't look at the way forward. So let's finally look at some of the solutions to the issue of water scarcity in Nigeria.
Yes, in Nigeria, what can we do? At the individual level, we should also be encouraged to practice hygiene and know how to manage water rationally, okay? And that's why we want to advocate that open defecation is a wrong practice, okay? It's something that nobody should practice, because when you do so, you contaminate water sources and it gets back to the users, okay? At the family level, storing water in the right way, and making sure that it is well protected, because it's not just having it available. Is it protected? If it is not, there's a high chance that a lot can go wrong because it can get contaminated and the individual suffers from it. The government should do more than it has done to provide water for the citizens. It is a right that every Nigerian deserves, okay, that we should have water, especially with revamping, if possible, water boards. And make this water fit. Even the wells we sink, most of them are not even awesome, because you still have to subject that water to some analysis and be sure that it is not contaminated. Because if that well is sunk close to a source of contamination, like a sewage or whatever, it's a big problem. So government must do more. It through its agency, NAFDAC and other allied agencies, monitor water quality, especially even from companies that produce water now. Everywhere you go, you see water sachets, pure water, bottled water, the likes. There's need for government to ensure that tight regulation is done to ensure that we don't come down with epidemics. Globally, the world is doing a lot. Okay, there's the UN Water Summit, which we're holding sometime later this year in December. There are a whole lot of activities that the international community is doing to address water shortage. Don't forget also that, of course, when it comes to climate change, we can't really do so much, but with the issue of gas flaring, reducing global warming, all of these activities that governments, both within the local and international scene, they are making concerted efforts to address water shortage. Water stress is a big problem, it's looming in our faces, and if we do not consciously address the issues, in no time you'll find that we are not able to access good, safe, and quality water.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ojebo, for spending time with us today on the program.
Thank you.
Right. Before we go, I'm going to be reading us a report from UNICEF on the situation of water, sanitation, and hygiene in Nigeria. Poor access to improved water and sanitation in Nigeria remains a major contributing factor to high morbidity and mortality rates among children under 5. The use of contaminated drinking water and poor sanitary conditions result in increased vulnerability to waterborne diseases, including diarrhea, which leads to deaths of more than 70,000 children under 5 annually. 73% of the diarrhea and enteric disease burden is associated with poor access to adequate water, sanitation, and hygiene, that is WASH, and is extremely borne by poorer children. Frequent episodes of WASH-related ill health in children contribute to absenteeism in school and malnutrition. Only 26.5% of the population use improved drinking water sources and sanitation facilities. Achieving Sustainable Development Goal 6 by 2030 requires extraordinary efforts. Based on World Bank estimates, Nigeria will be required to triple its budget or at least allocate 1.7% of the current gross domestic product to wash. That's how we'll end the program for today. If you want to send us your comments and contributions, you can simply do that by calling the numbers on the screen, or you can send us text messages. You can also visit us at our corporate head office at number 18 Dunstan Road, Benin City. And please don't forget that this program is brought to you by Lift Above Poverty Organization, LAPO. Till we come your way again. Bye-bye.
On today's edition of the Saturday Morning Treat. I want to say very big thank you to those that contributed to the success of today's program.
Yes. Parents at the other end of the studio. Viewers at home will appreciate you for staying tuned with us since the commencement of the program.
Yes, and we are thanking you for always being there for us. I want to say big thank you to the producer, Oladayo Olanipekon, the assistant producer, Abdul Adebisi, and the executive producer, Kionla Owola. We're not forgetting those are the MCR and the VTR and everyone that contributed to the success of today's program. Next week is another day. Keep enjoying our program on OSBC TV. My name is Oluchi Amudan from
Kayode Adebayo.
saying good morning.